Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us for today's news conference with members of the Expedition 32 and 33 crews. Joining me today are Sunita Williams, cosmonaut Yuri Malenchenko, and Japanese astronaut Aki Hoshide. Expedition 32 begins with the Soyuz TMA-03M undocking in July. These three crew members are scheduled to launch on July 15th and join their Expedition 32 counterparts, Joe Akaba, Gennady Padalka, and Sergei Revin, who will arrive on the station in mid-May. Once Joe, Gennady, and Sergei depart, Sunny, Aki, and Yuri will remain on board to begin the Expedition 33, and Sunny will transition from flight engineer to the role of station commander. They're scheduled to conclude their long-duration mission in November 12th. Sunny was born in Ohio but considers Needham, Massachusetts to be her hometown. She holds degrees from the U.S. Naval Academy and the Florida Institute of Technology. She was selected as an astronaut in 1998 and served as a flight engineer for Expedition 14. During that long-duration mission, Sunny established a world record for females with 4 spacewalks and also broke the existing duration record previously held by Shannon Lucid, setting a new record for females of 195 days in space. Sunny will also be the second female to serve as commander for the International Space Station. To her left, Yuri Malenchenko was born in Ukraine and is a graduate of Kharkov Military Aviation School and the Zhivovsky Air Force Engineering Academy. In 1987, he was selected as a cosmonaut and completed his first long-duration mission on Space Station Mir in 1994. He also flew on the STS-106 space shuttle mission to the International Space Station and returned to the station as a commander of Expedition 7 and flight engineer for Expedition 16. Aki was born in Tokyo, Japan. He holds degrees from Keio University and the University of Houston. He was selected as a Japanese astronaut candidate in 1999 and flew as a mission specialist as part of STS-124. With that, we'll now turn it over to Sunny.
Thanks, Nicole, and thanks to everyone who's here for the press conference and everybody out there in TV land who's watching and listening to us here. We're really excited to be getting closer and closer to our launch in July. It's going to be a great mission, really exciting, lots of things to do. I mean, it's pretty unbelievable when you think about all the things that are on the menu out there that's waiting for us. I've got some great crew members here, which Nicole introduced. Yuri and Aki, we're sort of like a family, and we got a couple other great crew members up on board that will be joining, like Nicole mentioned, Gennady and Sergei and Joe. And then after Gennady, Sergei, and Joe leave, we'll be joined by Kevin Ford, Oleg Novitsky, and Evgeny Tarelkin. So as you could probably see, it's a pretty international cruise that we're working with here. We backed up a European astronaut, and we will be backed up by a Canadian astronaut as well, American and Russian astronauts and cosmonauts. So the crew composition has been very international, and we're really looking forward to things that we're going to be doing up there. It's going to be loaded not only with international astronauts and cosmonauts, but when we get there will be ATV, probably, the European spacecraft. Shortly thereafter, we arrive, will be HTV, Japanese spacecraft. Hopefully thereafter will be either SpaceX or Orbital, another American spacecraft. We'll probably be doing a Russian EVA, hopefully doing a US EVA. So it is a really international time when we'll be up there, and it'll be pretty exciting. Unfortunately, our mission is only 4 months. I wish it would be years and years and years, but I think we're going to jam a lot of stuff into that 4 months, and I think it's going to be really exciting. Again, I'm really lucky to be flying with Yuri and Aki. They're great professional astronauts, cosmonauts, and I think we're going to have a great time, and I hope you all will be watching.
All right, thank you, Sunny. We'll start with questions here at the Johnson Space Center, and if you can just step up to the microphone if you have questions and state your name and affiliation and who your question is directed to if you have someone in mind.
Hi, Robert Perlman with CollectSpace.com. I guess for Sunny, can you talk a little bit about how the launch delays have impacted your expedition? Have you had to replan, and are there activities that had to fall off because of the impact to the schedule?
Well, luckily our job is to fly in space. So this crew and Gennadi's crew, we're both ready to fly whenever there's a vehicle ready for us to jump into. I think at this point in time, actually we're finishing up our U.S. training here, and then we have a little bit of a delay before our final sims for our Soyuz and Russian parts of the station training in Russia. So for us, we're just ready to go. For the flight program, the planners had to change a little bit. I'm sure some of the things that they had thought that was going to happen when we first got there. But the crews on orbit right now, Expedition 30 and 31, are taking care of business. They're up there for a little bit longer than they had initially planned, but they're filling in all the holes and making sure the station is ready for us when we arrive.
And given the number of vehicles that are coming and going while you're up there, can you sort of rank what your activities, what will be your most prominent activities? Is it logistic support or station ops or science, and how do they all play out? Thanks.
Just a quick recap. This is a lot different from my last expedition, Expedition 14, when we were in the middle of assembly. But it's changed into logistics and research. We're changed the whole way the station is operating. Hopefully we'll be doing quite a bit of research on board, but part of the research is actually getting new spacecraft to the space station and seeing how those new systems are working. So yeah, it's going to be filled with logistics from the beginning, because we're going to have, again, ATV there already, HTV arriving, and hopefully a commercial vehicle. But that's all research in its own right. All of those have new systems. And I forgot to mention couple progresses which will be coming and going, and also testing out some new systems on the progress vehicles. So all of that is research in itself, as well as the onboard biology, education, material science research. So I think it's going to be front-loaded with a lot of vehicle traffic. I hope that will make it pretty exciting, and then we'll be backfilled with a lot of science experiments that are up there that are coming up on those vehicles.
Jim Oberg for NBC News. Sonny, you mentioned you wanted to stay years and years and years in space, and it's a great idea because people are going to have to do that soon. We had a question this morning from program management that ISS is looking in the next 2 or 3 years to having much longer flight durations, at least several people staying longer than 6 months. You're getting ready for your second 6-month flight, and Yuri, of course, is getting ready for his 4th long expedition. Can you both comment on what it would take to clear the way for you or some other astronaut or cosmonaut to fly 1 or even 2 years duration missions on the ISS? How do we get to there from where we are now? Thank you.
Well, I think you know that a lot of the research that we're doing on board is what happens to the human body. There's a lot of unknowns out there, bone density, radiation, and I think we've got a foot in the door with a number of expeditions under our belt about understanding some of that research, but there's still a lot more research that has to go on to understand exactly what's happening to the human body and how can we optimize either physical fitness, shielding for the radiation, or nutrition to have people stay in orbit for a long time. Of course, there has been a Russian cosmonaut that's been up in space for over a year, so that there is success in that field. But I think for us to know that we're launching people and bringing people back to Earth totally okay, I think we still have a little bit more research to do in that field. And I think what we're doing up there is helping get us to that point.
The Russians better go longer, make any longer flights?
I hope so. We already have a lot of experiments about this, and we keep doing this. A lot of research going on. Hopefully, in the future, it will really help for other people to make flying in space easier, and more people will be involved. So I'm sure it's very important research.
Okay, any other questions here from the Johnson Space Center?
My name is Kensuke Obara from NHK, Japanese Broadcasting Corporation. May I ask a question to Aki? If you could forgive me calling you in your first name, your nickname. But Aki, Today, earlier, there was the ISS briefing, and Mr. Safardini told us that your team's launch, is upcoming on July 15th. How are you feeling right now? I mean, the launch is nearing. There was a delay, but it's nearing. What's your feelings right now? And we also learned that you might be doing EVA. What's your feelings about that? And if you could answer it in English and also in Japanese, if possible.
Okay. Well, let's first try in English. Hopefully, I'm better in English than Japanese at this point. First of all, we were in Baikonur in December as a backup crew, so that means we were ready to launch if necessary, if something happened to the prime crew. So I'm confident that we're at that level. Right now what we're doing is just proficiency training, just making sure that we remember everything that we were taught, and also a lot of science and payload operation kind of training. But I feel confident with these two very experienced crew members, and we trained together for more than a year, more than 2 years now. So I'm looking forward to going back home, especially the Japanese portion that I helped build, and looking forward to all the experiment that we'll be doing. And with respect to EVA, yes, we know that it is on the plan, and we'll be, lucky if we can get it. But we've been training along with Sunny and the whole team in JSC. So we've been training for that. If we need to go out the door, and I'm looking forward to that experience as well. So can I do that in Japanese? I'll try. まずそうですね、打ち上げに関してですけども、今回31ソユーズの打ち上げですけども、昨年12月にすでに我々ここにいる3人バックアップクルーとしてバイコヌールに行っておりました。でそれはプライムクルーが12月にすでに打ち上がったプライムクルーに、もし何かあった場合に代わりに打ち上がるということを、準備してたわけですけども、ということは毎日何かあった場合にも打ち上がる準備はすでにできていたということです。で従いまして今7月の打ち上げまで何をしているかと言いますと、すでに学んだあるいは身につけた知識技量を維持する訓練、それから主に科学の部分ですね、サイエンスの部分の実験の知識、あるいは操作、実験装置の操作、そういった訓練を主に行っております。ここにいる2人はですね、非常に経験豊富な宇宙飛行士ですので、彼らと一緒に宇宙にまた飛び立つということに関しては非常に何ですかね、自信があるといいますか、彼ら自身が非常に経験豊富なので安心していけると思います。それから2008年に STS-124 で組み付けた船内実験室ですね、戻って新しいと言いますか、前作ったうちに帰って実験ができることを非常に楽しみにしております。それから船外活動に関しましては実際計画される可能性があるということで、ずっとここにいるサニー・ウィリアムス飛行士と一緒に訓練をしておりました。で従いまして、実際に計画通り船外活動ができるということになれば非常に個人としても非常に嬉しいし光栄に思います。そのための準備はしてきましたので、やれることを楽しみにしています。
Thank you so much, Aki. Okay, any additional questions here? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Chimi from Nico Nico. Nico Nico 動画のチーミです。Well, I would like to ask you, all of you actually, about Dragon 9. The Dragon 9 will be launching in a few months, and there is a possibility that you will be able to take part in the docking of the craft. So, and are you excited to be able to witness the commercial spacecraft in action? And also, how do you feel about next the generation spacecraft?
Just to summarize, just your question is about the SpaceX vehicle that's potentially coming up at the end of April, right? And then on our flight schedule right now, it looks like the second one in August. So we're really excited. Aki and I actually went to California for some training for SpaceX probably about a year ago, and had the opportunity to look around at the company and at what they were doing on the floor right there, building the spacecraft. And anytime you look at real hardware, it's really exciting when you see shiny metal coming down the path going to be launched into space. So that was pretty awesome. And to see a bunch of really excited engineers and scientists and working on this spacecraft was great. Our fingers are crossed. I'm hoping everything happens for them and they have a very successful launch. We'll be waiting for them. The first, the crews that are up there right now will be waiting for the first SpaceX, and then we'll see what lessons they learned and for the second SpaceX. I hope we get to participate with a new vehicle coming up to the space station. Like I said, every single one that I talked about is a little bit different. They have a little bit different systems. So watching their performance and seeing how they successfully get to the space station will be exciting. So we're really looking forward to hopefully having them come join us. And like what we'll do for that is, take the robotic arm and grab it outside of the space station and dock it. So that will be another exciting challenge. Every time we connect with a vehicle that's with the robotic arm, it's a little bit different arm configuration, and so it provides new challenges for us on board the space station and our robotic skills. So that will be very exciting, and like I said, my fingers are crossed. Our fingers are crossed for this for SpaceX to launch and be successfully come to the space station.
Well, I'm more responsible for other vehicles, but I'm really looking forward to see this new vehicle on station. It always exciting to see something new in space, and also it is a big developing of space program in general. So I'm really happy, and as I said, I'm looking forward to see new vehicle.
So just to add on to what Sonia and Yuri mentioned, right now we have Progress, ATV, and HTV supplying logistics and science samples, and our most important, our food. But in addition to that, if we can get Dragon and Cygnus up and running, that provides more capability for us and for the whole space program. And getting the commercial, private sector involved, I think it's a very good thing. It opens up new doors for not just the space community right now, but for a bigger possibility as a whole. So I'm looking forward to that very much.
Okay. Any additional questions? Yes.
すみません、英語は堪能ではないので日本語ですみません。テレビ朝日奇跡の地球物語の森下と申しますが、お三人さんにお伺いいたしますが、日本の実験棟の希望が非常に各国の、宇宙飛行士さんから居心地のいい場所だというふうなお話を聞いたことがあるんですが、三人さんそれぞれ今回初めてだと思うんですが、どのように感じていらっしゃったり、あるいは以前の方から聞いたことがありますか。それから星出さんにお伺いしたいんですが、たくさんのミッションがあると思うんですが、ミッション以外でやってみたいことはありませんか。前回はラグビーボールを投げられたりしましたが、それがあったら教えてください。
He is from TV Asahi. His name is Toru. He's asking. He'd like to ask about the Japanese experiment module keyboard. Can you hear me?
Feel free to hold it on.
Yeah.
Okay. The experiment module keyboard, and we learned it's very comfortable space there. But we'd like to know how much you know about Kibo, and also what you expect about Kibo. Are you going to visit there, and what are you going to do? And also, Aki, we'd like to ask what you would like to do as a mission in ISS. Last time you through the rugby ball, but we'd like to hear what else you'd like to do.
For the first question about Kibo, I can't wait to go into Kibo. When I was there, again, last time was a number of years ago, and the space station stopped at the front of the lab. So now it has a lot more modules, Node 2, of course, Kibo, and the Columbus. And so I can't wait. I saw pictures of when Aki installed Kibo, and of course inside and outside, and it looked awesome. I've had the opportunity to go to Japan and train to be an operator on the Kibo systems. And so I'm going to actually do a couple of Japanese experiments. I have one on me, actually, right now, as a matter of fact, and some other experiments inside the Kibo module. So I'm really looking forward to spending some time in there. I heard it's nice and peaceful as well. And it also has an airlock, which I think we're planned to be using for the first time while we're up there. It also has some great windows that it'd be really fun to look out those windows and see the Japanese robotic arm in action when HTV-3 is there, and also when we use the Japanese airlock. So I'm really looking forward to spending some quality time in the Kibo module.
I can say same words. I'm really looking forward to see this module. I was in Japan and have very good training, system trainings, and I'm sure it will be very useful place to work with science, and a very important module. And I expect to have a good possibility to work over there. I don't have something particular to work with this module, but since I have basic training, in case if people need my hands, I ready. Thank you.
And I also look forward to going back to Kibo, as I mentioned. In terms of what I'd like to do up in space when I'm back there, first of all, something unique about our increment is that we have a very huge sports event during our increment. So what we're talking amongst ourselves is, why don't we do something, some kind of a sport event on orbit too, inside the space station. We have a U.S., a Russian, and a Japanese, so we can compete each other. But we're just tossing ideas right now, what kind of sport event we can do up there. But that's something that I'm looking forward to.
Okay, one last call. Go ahead.
So much.
All right, I think at this point we will transition over to the phone bridge where we have a couple of reporters with some questions. We'll start with Clara Moskowitz with Space.com.
Hi. Yeah, Sunny mentioned that it was an especially international crew this time, and I'm just wondering, for each of you, what you're planning to do to share elements of your culture with your international crewmates.
Oh, wow. It's a good question. I might do the same thing that I did last time, which was introduce everybody to peanut butter and fluff, which was an all-time American favorite sandwich of mine. I've also tortured them already with a little bit of my dog and how much having a pet at home means to me. And also, I'm sure I will torture them also with pictures of Cape Cod, where my family is, and every time it's easy to pick out on, of course, from space just because of the shape of it, but as well as different parts of the United States. I'm sure I'll be sharing some of those little aspects with these guys while we're up there. And culture, of course, we do that as we sit around the dinner table. I think it just comes out. You start talking about missing home a little bit and talking about your family and your friends, and I'm sure that will come out.
Well, that's true. It is very important. I have not decided yet what to do something particular, but since we have a Russian segment and a lot of equipment and a lot of Russian food, and we can spend some time together during free time and to create something. But in reality, every day when we see each other working together, that's while this time we also sharing our some specific culture things. So and since we have more time in the future on space station, especially, I think we can do a lot more. Thank you.
And I couldn't agree more with what Sunny and Yuri just mentioned. I think food is one thing that I can share. I can't cook. I'm not a very good cook, and Sunny knows that very well. But fortunately, we have a couple of Japanese food that I'm bringing up. So I like to share that with my fellow crewmates during my stay. But just like Yuri mentioned, I think working together on orbit and just sharing stories, talking to each other provides a great base of international cooperation. And also not just the crew, but we'll be interacting with all the mission control centers all over the world, Moscow, Houston, Munich, and Tsukuba. So just communicating with them and working together provides a great international cooperation.
All right, Clara, did you have another question?
No, I'm all set. Thanks very much.
All right, with that, we will move on to Todd Halverson with Florida Today.
Thanks very much. This is for Sunny Williams. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about being only the second woman commander on the International Space Station, and in your judgment, what would the best complement or makeup be for a crew on a mission to Mars? Thanks.
Oh, it sounds like a tricky question. But seriously, I didn't even think about that. I didn't even realize that. I mean, of course, I knew Peggy Whitson was the commander of the space station before, but I never really put two and two together that I would be number two. It sort of never crossed my mind. I think it just sort of happens with people who have experience. I guess you get selected to be the commander based on your experience in the past, and I hadn't really thought about the numbers and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't really have a thought on it. So I hope I'm not letting you down too much. So I'm sorry about that. I think about the complement going on a long duration, and I think about the crews that we have. And a lot of people ask me the question, do you handpick the crews based on their personalities? And we don't generally do that. We pick crews where they're needed and the skills that they have and what they bring to the table. And I think that's probably the right way to do it. Most of the people in this business from all the different partner agencies, they're all professional astronauts and cosmonauts. They've been through a rigorous program to get to where we are. We go through training courses such as National Outdoor Leadership School together, and other programs like that, the NEMO missions where we live in an aquatic habitat under the water. And we get along. I mean, people are professional. They know the job that they need to get done. They know their strengths and their weakness. And I think at this stage in our lives, nobody really has a big ego about that stuff. You know where your pitfalls are, and you know where somebody else can actually take up the slack for you, and you ask for help when you need it. And so you need people who are like that. I haven't really thought about men versus women, which I think that was sort of where the question was going. But I think if everybody's professional, I think it really doesn't matter. Except for the fact that Aki can't cook, and you do need somebody who can put food together. So.
And just one quick follow-up, if I could. I was just curious as to whether you've registered for any marathon during this particular increment, if you plan on another orbital marathon. Thanks.
Good question. Like Aki mentioned, there's a major sporting event going on while we're up in space, and I think we're going to do something a little more team-oriented this year, this time around, rather than have me run a marathon. Actually, Aki and I are participating in a science experiment and sport protocol called Sprint, which is absolutely not running a marathon. It's hard-working, doing sprinting type of exercises, so I don't think I'll be in marathon shape, but I will be in good sprinting shape while I'm up there.
Okay, I believe that concludes our phone bridge questions. We're going to return here to the Johnson Space Center for any remaining follow-ups by reporters here in person. Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to questions that have been submitted via Twitter.
Okay, guys. First, we have a comment. The first one was for Aki. This comment just says, Aki, your Japanese sounds good to me. First question we have here comes from, and I'm going to spell this out. I think it's actually, we have a lower third, so you'll be able to see this, but it's HANEULASAEK. Did you apply for the expedition, or were you selected?
Was that for any specific?
For anyone?
Oh, anyone, sorry.
I'm sorry?
Sunny, you can go ahead and answer.
Selected. There's a bunch of us in the U.S. Astronaut Corps. I think we have somewhere around 65 or 70 active astronauts. 57, a little lower. And we sort of rotate through missions because it takes about 2.5 years for the training program for us to fly in space, and then there's about a 6-month rehab program when you come back from space, and usually after that you use your experience to help the office and the younger astronauts, and then you're sort of waiting in a pool for the rest, with the rest of the astronauts there to be assigned, and hopefully your skill set is one of the ones that they need for the next mission coming up. And so the chief of the office makes the selection for who's going to be on the mission from the U.S. side. I think that's pretty parallel for the Japanese side and the Russian side.
Yes, the Japanese side is pretty similar. Once we finish our mission on orbit, we'll come back down on the ground and then support other missions. For instance, I was a Capcom working here in Houston and also helping out robotics and all the Japanese modules in HTV as well. So that helps the mission, as well as you learn a lot from those technical jobs. And then you're in a waiting mode. And then, if everything lines up, then you get selected for a mission.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, we have this next question. It comes from MPS Forza. How does the cardiovascular system react to low gravity?
Well, we're working on figuring that out. Actually, there's a slew of experiments called integrated cardiovascular, and it's a bunch of scientists from all over the place taking lots of measurements on our cardiovascular system. Part of that is imaging, using ultrasound before and after physical fitness, and just trying to figure out what is actually going on with your cardiovascular system. But it's a muscle. And it's not being taxed as much, just in general, basic words. It's not being as taxed in space as much as it is up, when we're usually on the ground. Your heart has to work against gravity to pump blood all over the place, all over your body. And in space, it doesn't have to work so hard. Obviously, it's not working against gravity. So there's probably a decrease in the muscle mass while we're up in space. But we don't know all of that for sure, and so that's why we're doing some of the research that we're doing, and some of the ultrasounds are really going to help. It's going to be interesting to see the difference of when we're working out up in space versus just relaxing. So that's a lot of research that's ongoing right now.
Okay, great. Thanks. And another one comes from @Jules Burford. How would you manage with a medical emergency, i.e. appendicitis, and can you operate in zero-G?
That's a very good question. We do train, my background is engineer, not a doctor, but we do get some training in case of emergency. Now, doing an operation, that might be a different story, but just like a first aid kit or CPR, we're trained to do that, and we do train on each other. In a mock-up, let's say someone, fell, what do you do? And then we coordinate amongst ourselves and get the first aid kit and start working, CPR. and all that stuff. So we are trained to do that, but of course we're not doctors, so we can't do like a very detailed skill-based operation.
Okay, thank you. And we have another one. This one comes from Rick Star 1. They want to know, what is the number one thing you are looking forward to doing when you arrive at the station?
So let's see. I'm really looking forward to the docking. We practice that pretty rigorously in Star City. It's supposed to be automatic, but Yuri, of course, is trained to take over manually in case we need to do a manual docking. I was, as a flight engineer, I was also lucky enough to train to do that as well. So it's actually flying a little spacecraft around, which is pretty amazing. And last time I flew up to the space station on a space shuttle, and it was a pretty slow process. This time it's going to be a little faster process from what we've trained to do. So I'm really looking forward to the docking and opening the hatch. Once we open the hatch, of course, we're going to have 3 other crew members there to greet us, and shortly thereafter we'll probably be able to talk to our family and friends and just tell them in person that we made it there successfully. So I think that's going to be the highlight, just to hear their voices when we get up there.
Great. Thank you, Sunny. Okay, I have one more, and this one is actually for Yuri. It's a 2-part question. The first part is in Russian, and the second part is in English. First part is, как дела? As a cosmonaut, how does your training differ from your U.S. crewmates?
Well, my responsibility is mostly Russian segment, and I focus on all tasks which bring Russian space program. And also I'm Soyuz commander, so I have a lot of training with control Soyuz transport vehicle. And also we have a national science program, and I'm focused on this. And but at the same time, I have training in US, Japan, in Europe, and depends what agencies want me to do. I do different kind of training. So, as I said, it's mostly just focus move to different part of station, and maybe I work in more with people who working in Russian control centers.
Okay. Хорошо, спасибо. That's all we have for today.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. With that, we'll return for one last opportunity or for any remaining questions here from the Johnson Space Center. Okay. Seeing none, that will wrap up our briefing. Thank you.